If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter which way you go. Get your vision straight, build a strong mindset, create a great support system around you. It doesn't have to be paid. Use and leverage AI to help create the plan. Those are your pillars. Know where you're going with clarity, get your vision, build a strong mindset around it. Your vision will slip, your mindset will fall, but if the plan is in place as well, you've got three pillars to help you have the best year ever. We're coming up on 2025 and you guys can do it. We believe in you.
Well, welcome to a new episode of Real Estate First Technology Unleashed, sponsored by Liftoff Agent. Super excited. Today, we're bringing a very special guest. It is Friday today, 1:06. I would say Pacific Standard Time, but Arizona is one of those states that we don't change the time back, so it's Mountain Time. And this individual we have on the show, I got introduced to her because of Elias. And Elias is with Team Fast. We were just talking about him before we got on the air, and he's just such an amazing human being. And he's like, yeah, you gotta meet this person. So he introduced both of us. And then my team was like, we got to get her on the show. So I'm super excited to have her on the show. We're going to talk about her backstory, real estate, how she got into the industry, the power of manifestation, and imagining what you can actually achieve within your life. It doesn't just have to be a dream. It can actually be a dream that comes to reality. So we have the one and only, let's get her in here. And I have her here. I want to make sure you guys all check her out. 2 links are going to be all down below. So realtor, MBA, CEO, wife, mother, powerhouse, Andrea, welcome to Real Estate First Technology.
Hello there. Thank you so much for having me. This week has been really crazy. I think you saw I helped host Atlas Alliance's 2025 kind of goal setting business plan. So Monday, we had close to 500 viewers on day one. So
Wow.
That has been amazing. I'm kind of losing my voice a little after talking so much. But yeah, it's been a really fun week.
That's amazing. They say 2025, we'll see, it's supposed to be a great year in real estate. And I can kind of feel that momentum already going in. And it's been very busy on our end as well. So congratulations to that.
Yeah,
and how did you
thank
go?
you.
Did everything go really well with pouring
It
into
went
everyone?
great. It went great. And you were talking about kind of mindset and manifestation. And what is so funny, a friend and he's a coach at Forward Coaching, Tim Rist, he's out in Oregon. We became friends. He was a coach of mine for a little while. And we went to the Atlas Alliance big event in person in Nashville. And he was like, oh, you could be up on that stage. You could do that. I'm like, that'd be kind of fun. And next thing I know, Mike's like, hey, what are you doing over there with these new agents? Like, what specifically are you teaching these new agents? Because he had met one of my agents who she'd been licensed for 6-7 months, and she hadn't even wrote a deal, like not even wrote an offer, nothing, never even came close. So she's like, interviewing with our team, and finally she's like, I have to be with you guys, and she's close to like 7 million this year, active, pending, and sold, and that's insane. And I'm like, what am I doing? And then, we started kind of putting it together. I'm like, really, what's cool is using their DISC personality assessments to help them set real KPIs that match them. So all I'm doing literally is helping them elevate who they already are. And so that's kind of what we spoke about. But a lot of it was like the vision, the mindset, and then the plan, like those 3 pillars really holding up a business. But
wow, I love that. And it's so powerful because I feel like the power of law of attraction, manifestation, and also I feel like for our viewers and listeners out there to take in consideration is like, you, I, anyone out there too, like we're all like a vessel. And so the way you show up and the way you present yourself, and, I watch your stories and the content you put out there, it's not just that it's like really polished and you obviously do a great job with it. It's just like, you could tell like your vibration, your mindset, the way you just hold yourself, the way that you take care of yourself. Like you're just very much, what's the best word? You're mindful. You're just mindful of what you do.
Definitely.
Right?
Sometimes too much. It can be, being mindful is such a pro, but then it's such a con at times because you can have this tendency to beat yourself down over every single thing. We either over celebrate or we beat ourselves down too much, but it's, something to be cognizant about is when you're very mindful, when you're very tuned into yourself,
Mhm.
you're also very hard on yourself, because when you
Yes.
don't have a perfect day or a perfect deal, you have to learn to let a lot of that go. And I
Mm,
think I'm just in the past probably year or 2 years really being able to harness the power of, I have always been extremely positive, but
mhm,
learning to let things go and talking
mhm.
to myself the way I would talk to you, the way I would talk to my best friends, the way I would talk to my family, because we're
Yeah.
often our worst critics.
Yes, we are. And it's
Yeah.
yesterday it was funny. We have my daughter, she's 6, Jordan, and we are going to be doing like a movie night. And so a little fundraiser for the school. And so I'm like finishing up the meeting, it's running late. The wife's super busy. She has dinner ready. Daughter comes in, Daddy, it's time for dinner. So I'm like, okay. So I go out and then she's just like, and she has a tea company. It's called Red Zen Tea Co. International
Oh,
Tea
cool.
Master. We retired her from teaching for 16 years. She's been full time for 2 years now, and she's crushing it. Like the best
Yeah.
that she's done in like the whole career. And so she's just like so hard on herself last night, just about this and that and fear mindset and all the things. And then we get there, we're watching the movie, and she's just like, yeah, so I have this and this and this and this. I'm like, girlfriend, you're crushing it. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like, you have
I love it.
fun and you're doing an amazing job. And she's like, I know. I'm like, did you just go through like a development leap or something? Like, why are
I
you?
can
She was just
imagine.
like, in a moment.
What was the movie?
It was the new Grinch, their new Grinch
Okay.
animated movie.
Yeah. That she got in the spirit, the holiday spirit.
Yeah, she had.
Well, you've seen on my Instagram, I am in full swing holiday spirit, like full spring. Like it's like crazy. I'm on full tilt. Like
I love
I
it.
went yesterday to this place called Glitz in Nonsuch, Kentucky. Kentucky's such a cool, unique place. It's an old schoolhouse
Okay.
that is like in second generation. It's an antique art store basically that turns into like this Christmas house. And
Yeah.
there's a lunch place in the basement that's
Mm.
in the old school cafeteria. And I bought so much more. I already have 3 trees up and I bought so much more. And I come in, I'm like, hurry and open the front door. My husband comes out. I've got like Christmas music blaring, like coming out of the car. And I'm like hopping and like carrying my bags. He's like, I got to film this. I posted on my story yesterday. I'm like, when your wife likes Christmas, like,
Amen. I love that. I think we got
yeah,
four Christmas trees on our side, but that's the thing. I think, yeah, we're one of
you're
them.
out Christmas treeing me.
Yeah, what can I say? But I think that like as business owners, as professionals, a lot of agents, a lot of real estate professionals that's watching this show here, could be mortgage, title, or maybe even a small business owner, like you forget to like the fun, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have more fun. And so like this morning I was like, I haven't driven, I'm a car person. And so I haven't driven one of my cars, Nissan GTR. So I was like, all right, I want to go take the car out. And then I got invited a podcast guest yesterday, and really good podcast. He does email marketing. He's in our market here in Phoenix, Arizona. And he invited me to his Mixer networking event. I'm like, hey, what a great example, or excuse to like go take a ride in the car and go network and just maximize opportunities. I had a couple extra hours this morning. That was a perfect opportunity. And it was so much
Yeah.
fun. Just go out and just take a drive,
Yeah.
I love it.
That's what got your wife, the Grinch Christmas spirit. It's like
It did.
Christmas. Yeah.
Tell her that.
Halloween used to be my favorite, but now Christmas, it's so cozy and it's such
Yeah.
a good time when you're in a right mindset. December's amazing. It's like looking back at everything you've achieved,
Mm,
everything that you've been able to do. And I really weigh myself on the successes of others, which I shouldn't. So, like my agents, like what
yeah.
a year they've had. And it's like, to me, and for my clients out there, I'm sorry if this sounds negative. Like, I love closing my deals and I'm like,
Of
yeah,
course.
this is the best ever. But when my agents do it, it's like, to see somebody like be able to leverage you and succeed through you. And, when my office staff is like crushing it, or we put out like some content of one of my agents that just blows up, it's like, I love that. Like that's really rewarding for me. I feel like I really grow through other people. Like seeing them succeed
Yes.
is pretty powerful for me. But
I'm right there with you.
I do have an MBA. My master's of business administration is in business management, and
Yep.
my emphasis was in marketing. So I
Mm,
love everything that has a very systematic approach, but
yeah.
I'm not super system driven myself. So like I'm very high D on a DISC assessment.
Yeah.
But so I'm like the tornado that comes in with these ideas, but I have to have the right people around me to support that. And I found that out, a little later than I wished I had. But I had an admin with me for 3 years. She moved with her
Mhm.
fiance. And so when she left, I was like, oh my God, like how much she was doing behind the scenes was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So this year has been really rough for me training new staff. And she and I are still great friends. We were talking even today, but it's hard. And I realized that about myself. Like, like no matter how great my ideas are, my staff has to be even greater because like I like a squirrel and I'm bouncing all over the place. So I have to have like, structure and support. People who are like,
Yes.
no, that was the process. Like that was the timeline. We're not going from here to there to there. And we don't have time to do that yet. So I've definitely found that out about myself. And I think the more you can explore into who you are, and that's why I've loved doing these disc assessments, like understanding my staff, understanding my agents,
Yeah.
understanding myself. I think
Mhm.
that really helps you be able to reflect like your wife did and have that like, oh, light bulb just went off. Wait, I am killing this or I am doing this.
Yes. And it's so hard. We get down on ourselves and in the moment, and it was viewing and listening.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment, the last thing you're thinking about is like, yeah, last month I closed 50 deals or whatever it is. You're thinking just in that moment. And sometimes
Yeah.
we have to stop and okay, take a deep breath. All right, I'm alive. I'm well. Okay, regroup. But I'm right there with
Yeah.
you. I am that tornado. I am that. I'm like the front end. I'm the cheerleader. I'm like, let's go team. And then they're like, whoa, slow down. Because I was like, all right,
Yeah.
month of December, we're gonna bring in 60 new. We're gonna serve 60 new agents on our startup side. Help them get focused, build their brand, build their websites. And my partner's like, maybe we could do 20 to 30, Norm, but like maybe slow
Yeah.
down a little bit. I'm like, well, hey, we're gonna find the bottleneck in the company, and then we're gonna have to hire
Yeah.
properly and fix the systems and processes to continue. Like, it's good problems to have. But
It
that's awesome
is.
that you self-evaluated on that, because I think that's a big part of success is self-evaluating,
Mm-hmm.
looking in the
Yeah.
mirror and being like, all right, like I need to slow down here. I did
Yeah.
hire this section, this person or what have you
Yeah.
to just be well-rounded.
I think that's really important because if you don't know how to support yourself or, I actually used to think that I was the systems person, that I was the organized person. And I am like, I can kickstart it all, but on the day to day, I'm way too busy to be in the weeds
Yeah.
organizing. I know you guys talk a lot about tech. I love Google Workspace, like Google Drive, Google Chat, Google Docs,
Yep.
Excel. Like it's easy. It's easy.
Yes.
And most everybody knows how to use it, how to work it. And they've incorporated a lot of AI as well, which has been helpful. But, you know, for me, thinking that I was the organized one and then waking up and realizing if I don't have people who are organized, this is going to crumble because I might be the starter. Like you're coming in with the ideas. Hey, we need these platforms. We need to do this. But the day to day, you're doing this. You're out networking, building the brand, doing the podcast. Like someone has to be in that chair driving the, progress forward on a day to day. It's really
Amen.
important, I think.
Thank you, Smith, on the Liftoff Agent side, sponsors our show. He's
Love
amazing.
it.
He's like, I don't want to be on video. I don't need to be in the front end. I'll just be behind the scenes. And I have my work wife, Vitz, and she's my other half, and she knows. And so you got to have
Yeah.
those people. It helps so much.
Yeah. I would think the only extremely successful things that I've done, that my husband's done, that we've done together,
Mm,
every investment, anything successful business wise, it
mm,
has not been as much about the venture as the people in the venture. Look, I'm a
mm.
people person. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
everything that we've done that has succeeded or failed has really been the relationships and partnerships surrounding it.
I absolutely
So,
love that. Yeah, it's people first. It's like, in your point earlier in the show, I just love the fact that your success is the success of others. And I love how
mhm.
you put that out there, because I mean, to be a light, to achieve goals, and then to shine that light on someone else, and for them to shine brighter and then achieve their goals. And you just get to kick back and be like, whoa, like, all right. Like that
Yeah.
is like the highest level of success, because I feel like outside of anything monetary, our vision or our legacy, should I say, is the way that we show up for others, and the way we
Yep.
transfer our energy, and the way that we emotionally move others. And so it's like, okay, like, you made $1 million, or you're going to give money to your kids or whatever else, but how did you show up? Did you go to the ball
Yeah.
games? Did you get an extra Christmas tree? Did you celebrate
Yeah.
the wins? Like, what
Yeah.
did it look like? So I love that.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing about a vision is not just numeric. It's like, where are you really going? Like, what are
Yes.
your beliefs? What are your, end goals in life? Not just about how much am I going to sell in real estate. It's like, how many lives can I change? How many homes can I sell to people who that's, our approach here is really how many lives can we change?
Yep.
I've got a client right now that I sold them their first home like 5 years ago, and
Mm.
he came to my client appreciation event. We do a big pie day and we have so much fun. And they were there last year. And this year he was like, hey, I've got all this success in this aspect of my life and this business that he runs and has. He's like, but I've always been really curious about real estate. Like, I'd like to buy something and have an investment property. And so part of what we do that's a little different is that I have the real estate team. So we do buying and selling, but I actually got my start in property management. So we also have a property management company.
I love that.
So yeah, so we're full turnkey solutions for in and out of state investors. So I'm like, you know what? Let's see what we've got. Let me do some digging. So we're under contract now on an eightplex, and
Oh,
that was like 2 weeks ago.
congrats.
And he is so excited, so excited.
That is awesome. And the turnkeys is amazing because you help on the buy side, help on the sell side. And then when you buy your first home, might be a starter. So you might want to pull out equity, buy a second. And then after a second,
Yeah,
because you're starting a family, what have you, maybe you want to get into, like you just did, this eightplex. And it's so smart because you know how the nuances and ins and outs work, which is
yeah,
very beneficial to a buyer or seller to work with you because you're knowledgeable in all areas. And what
yeah,
better way to have, residual monthly mailbox check money, if you wish, or if you will, to just come in and to be able
yeah.
to have that outside of like your earned income. Like that's super cool.
I'm a very stressed person, like extremely stressed person, which people are always like, you are? I,
You
I
know,
think I just carry it well. Like fake it
yeah,
till you make it, I guess.
yeah,
I don't
you
know.
did a great job.
But I stress over everything. And so for me, I think this word kind of kills me, but like when people get commission breath, when they have to sell something
Oh,
because it's their livelihood and
yeah,
it's my family versus my client's family. Like you push people into
yes.
these situations and deals. Well, early on for me, I knew that I needed to be able to make the best decision for my clients. And
Mhm.
I never wanted to have to sell a house to make the money I needed monthly. So for me, investing in property management, I know what I'm making a month. I know what my rent roll is. I know what my property management is. If I choose to sell you a house and choose to work with you, it's because I want to. I don't need to. I don't have to. And me selling you a house is not going to be the determining factor if I get that Christmas tree to compete with you.
I love that. And
Yeah.
that makes so much more sense. I think that a lot of
Yeah.
agents out there have to think about, because whether you have an LLC, C, or S corporation, I was just talking to my business partner about this, is like you have to have a depreciating asset. So having
Mm,
an investment portfolio. So then when you bring in those commission checks and they go into your corporate account and then you pay yourself an actual paycheck and then you
yeah.
use that money as far as profits to invest into something so you can have something to write off or something for depreciation assets against a P&L, what have you. Not getting into, this isn't financial tax advice. It just makes so much more sense. And then it's a double positive because you don't need the commission.
Yeah, it is. And that's really changed a lot for like it helped me let go of a lot of just stress around market. It's like I'm going to do well in any market. I know what my rent is. I know what my property management is. If the market tanks, my investors are going to gobble up everything walking in front of them. If the
Yep.
market's booming, my buyers are going to be crushing it. My agents are going to be crushing it. And I think when you let go, like I'm going to win in any market because I'm able to provide multiple services for my clientele. I think that
Yeah.
really helps. And I'm not saying go get into property management because there's been a lot of days where I've said if I could give up anything about my career, it would be the property management. Those are really hard, long days. A lot of accounting, bookkeeping, calls. It's just a very different. It's two complete separate companies.
Yeah.
It's different staff. It's different hours. It's totally different. There's not, oh, I'm an agent. I actually just had it this week. An agent in my office was like, hey, I need you to take over these two duplexes for my clients. I can't do property management. I'm not staffed to do it. I don't have the time to do it. And when I took it over, I was like, okay, so this one's vacant. He's like, wait, that's vacant. I'm like, yeah, it's been vacant. The guy moved out. He didn't even know.
Wow.
And it's a whole other skill set. And it's also pretty expensive because you need, bookkeeping, leasing agents, property managers. You've got a whole nother set of software. So like on my real estate side, I use Brivity, and then on the property management side, I use Buildium. So you've got to have two separate softwares there.
And talk about you saying you're not as maybe the SOPs, KPIs organization isn't quite there. I mean, it sounds like property management, it has to be there.
Oh, it's so all over. Yeah. And the thing is, I love, like, if I don't know what's going on, I have so much anxiety about that. So like we have all these boards in our main office across the hall, and we keep track of everything, but it's here's the outline, here's the track, go do it. Here's the outline, here's the track, go do it. The go do it part, selling real estate all day, even, showing the leasing, I can do. I created this ground up. I had actually backtracking a little, one of my new employees, he was like, we were doing all this stuff, and he kind of stops. He just looks at me. He's like, how did you get into real estate? He's like, what is this? How did this happen? Funny enough, my husband, who was not my husband at the time, my boyfriend at the time, he bought a couple of properties in Atlanta after the market had crashed. And really, he had like this property manager who was this little old lady who was a real estate agent who tried to do property management. And it was a horrible, horrible situation. So you have these appreciating assets for the tax write-offs. And I was like, are you keeping up with any of this? Like, what is going on? And he's like, no, I think the property manager's doing it. And I remember we were going to out of town somewhere, and he was on the phone with his property manager. He's like, just guess, he says, just guess how much you paid for those roofs.
Yeah.
And she's like, I wouldn't know. I have no idea. And I was like, and at the time I'm in grad school. So like I'm all day, I'm like living in Excel and entrepreneurial endeavors and doing entrepreneurship competitions and elevator pitches and everything from, macro, micro, like I'm doing all this. I'm even in like corporate accounting class, and I'm like listening to this. I'm like, I feel like you might be a tiny, probably not the legal way to be doing that. I think she should be tracking it, probably, maybe. But so he was like, just help me. I'm like, no. He's like, help me. I'm like, no. So finally it got bad enough. I'm like, all right, I'll help you get her sorted out. Right. I'm going to come in and do what I do. I'm going to give some directions, sprinkle my zero knowledge. I've never done anything real estate in my life. I'm in school. I was a news anchor at the time, actually.
Oh my God, really? That's
at awesome. A local news station. And I'm just like, all right, let me look at this. So I look at it. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was straight up fraud. Like, she was taking 10% of rent collections, even when she was collecting like 15% rent. No evictions, none of the accounts were straight. She wasn't tracking anything. I mean, it would have blown your mind. Like, he came home from work. I'm like, I need you to just sit down for a second. Like, this is crazy. One, your fault. You should have been looking into this. Don't be so trusting. And that's the thing, I try to be a trusting person, but you have to, I'd say I'm probably a more guilty until proven innocent person, but it's just things over life have made me that way. And, she totally took advantage of him and the situation. And so I'm like, I'll help you find a real property manager. Obviously he fired her. It was a whole debacle. We hired 2 different property management companies back to back, and I spent more time going over the financial mistakes and I was like, I can't keep doing this. This will be easier. So I started out 22 properties out of state on Excel with checks being mailed to me. Like,
oh my God.
Total nightmare. So I had the opportunity, though, to learn my way through it. I really literally fell my way through it. And we made it work. And everything we were doing was better than what had been being done, right? So people would look at it like, oh, that was stupid, or why'd you do whatever we were doing was better, real data, real numbers, real tracking. I mean, it was so bad that whenever I sent some of my team of contractors I had working with in Kentucky to go stay in and renovate one. He had paid for vinyl siding around this fourplex. And it was on 3 of the sides. The back siding was not done. And that was a 8-month, 9-month project prior to that. So it was pretty bad. So I came in at a really rough, hard start. And these were rougher properties. The tenants hadn't really been properly screened. It was years of like, this is the worst thing ever. I love it. I'm going to get my real estate license. Like, so
I mean, you came in
I
the hard.
love a challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you like the challenge, you come in the hard part, then you're like, hey,
Yeah.
if this is hard as it gets, then I can systems and processes and automation to save a lot of the processors. That's where technology comes into place. And I think that what comes up for me, just for Fusion listeners out there, is like, you got to cross your T's, you got to dot your I's, you got to make sure you're on top of it. Because I know a lot of individuals in the real estate space, they don't really think about paying themselves a paycheck or having a loss statement. And we've had individuals on the Liftoff Agent side that sponsors the show that's like, I got to cancel. I got a $50,000 tax implication. And I'm like, okay, so best of luck with that. I want to wish you well. And, just because individuals out there, especially if you're new, thinking about getting into business because you want to see big old checks, you got to make sure that you put the money and allocate it in the right places, because Uncle Sam's, they're doing their checks and balances. And before you know it, you're going to come around on that wheel. They're going to be like, John, you're up. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't have.
But it's also the magic, right, of having a really well-ran business where you're doing the right things, you're following the guidelines, but you're researching, what the right things are. You've got the right tracking. You are, allocating everything in the right buckets. You're putting monies aside. And I think that's the most important part is, I learned through property management that this has to be a system. So when I got my start in real estate, everything was based on my business background, everything I'd learned about property management. So I'm like, I know that Brivity costs a lot of money, but I need a good solid CRM that I can use that, has my website, it has my CRM, it has my landing pages, it has my transaction management tools built in, it has everything built in to make us a better functioning team. So that, I think the problem is when people start in real estate, they don't start it out like it's scalable. They don't have the manuals, the blueprints, the checklist.
Not buying
Every deal is different. Yeah, exactly. So early on, when I first started, I would just lose sleep at night, like, what's going on with that deal, that deal? Oh my God, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. And my thing was I wanted every client, whether you're selling, our market, our average price is like 380,000, right? We're not in some huge city. Lexington's the best, but our average price is a little lower. So I wanted, whether I'm selling your $1 million home or your $100,000 home, I want to be able to give you the same type of service. How can you do that? Well, you can't afford to pay as much in marketing and videos and such, and the 100,000 and the million, but my process could be streamlined enough to where they get the same quality service. So I started my manual in the beginning. This is everything I messed up or did right or did wrong on the buy side. This is everything I messed up, did right, did wrong on the sell side. This creates a perfect buyer transaction every time. This creates a perfect seller transaction every time. So when I hired my first admin, it was like, here's the manual. This is what you do.
I love that. Yeah. And there's 2 points. One point, what I've seen over the years being in the industry of real estate now 10 plus years, is that individuals like yourself that have the degrees and understand business fundamentals 101, standard operating procedures, KPIs, profit and loss statements, like, and running a business like a machine and having Brevity or whatever systems you want to use is so farther and greater and more successful, like agents like you, than individuals come in, they're kind of loosey-goosey, they'll just kind of figure it out as they go. And there's roadmaps already there. Not to mention, one thing on the tech side is that all those playbooks that you've built can turn into a system and a process from your website, landing page, guides, downloads, YouTube videos to watch, where then you can educate the market because you have these standard operating procedures and save yourself time, which then adds your brand equity, build brand equity. And then on top of that, anyone who's listening, then think about like NAR case, and you're breaking down the buying process. And okay, this is the next steps. This is what you need to do. And you make it super fun and maybe gamify it. I mean, you're going to win.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is not being scared of changes, because your pillars, your foundation, your vision, your mindset, your business plan is strong enough that any little thing, there's always going to be external factors that are pouring into you. You have to be able to adapt. It is like a game. You have to be able to pivot. It's like Pac-Man, like running from the little ghosts,
I just got that in our game room. We got the.
Oh, did you?
Pac-Man. Yeah.
I love it.
It's
I have
perfect.
one in my basement. I'll have to send you a picture. It has all the arcade games ever, and it
Really?
looks like the old school one, but inside it's digital, but it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the original controllers. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
can play like Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat, the old, the new. I'll send you a picture. It's legit.
I think ours has like 12 games, but
Oh,
it's like
that's
a
cool.
5 foot tall, gaming
Yeah,
console. It's really
massive
cool.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a massive
I love
thing, but
it.
squirrel.
That's so fun. Yeah, like we said. Yeah,
Yeah. Have fun.
yeah.
No, but I
So
love that. Go ahead, keep going.
yeah, I mean, I think all of this is great. And I think it's just important for agents to realize don't base your successes on perceived successes of others. Social media is a snapshot. And
Yes.
honestly, half of what you see on social media is BS. Like if in your market right now, you're like, this agent, they're killing it. They're always posting it. I've never sat on the other side of a closing table with that agent. And then you
Mhm.
pull up their numbers. It's eye-opening.
The time. I mean,
Yeah,
some of the top people out there, whether it's it's the rapping realtor or it's the singing realtor or whatever else, and we don't have to say any names. I can already see the names in my head, and people are
yeah,
probably viewing and watching know what we're talking about. It's like, yeah, like where are their numbers? One thing that I love that I live and die by, and I see you do a lot of this too, is stories. And I'm
yeah,
very transparent on Instagram stories to be specific and share my wins and share
yeah.
whether I have my board over here and the numbers that we're at, or the properties that we have on list, or the Airbnbs that we have, or lift off, or traveling, or whatever, just to show
Yeah.
people like this is what's going on. And I remember I met a friend of mine, unfortunately, no friends, not friends anymore, but his wife, like, is that guy? It was a business deal that went south, and
I love
unfortunately,
it.
they're not ready yet. So they got their money back. But long story short, his wife was like, is this guy really just in his like little office here, just by himself, like happy-go-lucky, doing all the things? And he was like, yeah, that's him. And I
Pretty
love
much what it is.
that's how I met my wife off Instagram, our vice president off Instagram. I got a bunch of people that just gravitate to you and watch what
Yeah.
you're up to. And then if you can just inspire one person and show them, because like, it's not always glitz and glam on the front end, because it's so
Oh
easy to
God,
make.
no.
But on the back end, the people that are very polished, you have 9 times out of 10 don't see a lot of stories or what's really going on behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And it's so easy to have that perception that, and I get maybe fake it till you make it. But at what point you got to make it. So,
Yeah.
by then you're
I
still
I
doing the thing.
think that's the biggest it's like hustle culture, but it's like fake hustle
Mhm.
culture in some instances. And I love when people are like raw and real. And Elias is so amazing and he is raw and real and he's really crushing it. He's just as amazing in person as he is online.
He just loves his life and he loves what he's doing. And he's just so,
Hmm.
like you said, and authentic. Like he's very much one of those attractors. You get really
He
attracted.
is. I think I'm a really honest sharer. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I've even had people comment. I'm like, I don't know what that like really means. They're like, oh, you don't. I have makeup on a little bit today, but they're like, oh, you rarely even wear makeup. It's like this is just me. Listen, and I have people who stress and like, oh, no, I'm not doing the video today, Andrea. I don't have my makeup on. I'm like, I hate to tell you, sweetheart, but this is what you look like. Like, this is what you look like.
Yeah.
Love knowing who you are. Don't be
Yes.
someone else. Don't be something else. You don't need to look like that. You don't need to be that way. Like, be you. Show up authentically, like 100% of who you are. The way you look right now is how everyone's been seeing you all day today. Your real clients, that's how they've been seeing you today.
Yeah.
When I show up at the closing table, I want them to be like, Andrea, hey, like, when I'm on the street and people are like, oh, hey, you're in, I want
Yes.
people to know, like, that's me.
Yes. I'll be honest with anyone viewing and listening out there, like keeping it real. If you do get glitz and glammed up, like that's cool, more power to you. But if you're
Yeah,
not being your true authentic self and your videos and everything have to be that polished, and then they do meet you in person, and then there's that awkward moment for a second, then they're going to question your authenticity and who you are as a person, because then it's
100%.
like you have to hide behind something in order to feel a certain type of way. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you are who you are. And if you don't love yourself, then how can anyone else know, like, trust, and love you to want to actually do anything with you? So it's like so true.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, because some of those agents out there that have a headshot that's like 30 years old, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, like, let's go. Come on, just
Let's
update
get a
it.
new one. Yeah.
Okay, 2025 is almost coming. We're here at the end
We
of
got it.
2024. Like, let's self-evaluate here. Let's no hard feeling. Not here to judge nobody. It's just let's just keep it real.
Yeah. Love it. Well, part of the disc assessment, if you have a inner metrics is a really great disc assessment. It's free. Please go and take it. And if you
Y'all.
that'd be great. And if you know of Forward Coaching, which is also Debbie DeGroat's company, partnered with Ben Kinney, they have it on theirs as a free resource as well.
Perfect.
Debbie is amazing. She's coached so many great people. She's my coach.
Love it.
I would always say if you don't have a coach, join a program. Like I love Atlas Alliance so much. Those guys are so amazing. They make you feel like family instantly. I do their calls Mondays and Fridays. I'm with my coach, Debbie DeGroat, once a week. And I'm always trying to grow and learn. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. As soon as I am, like, I'm going to leave that room and go to the next one. Not like I'm leaving my crew behind, but it's like I always want to be learning. Like I'll come back to the room and bring what I've learned, but like I'm going to keep, learning from people.
Yeah.
So I think definitely that's a tip I always have for agents is like find a good partner, find a good team, find a good mentor, find a good coach. Oh, I can't afford a coach. Join a great team with a great leader. That's what
Yes.
my agents have done. Not that I'm a great leader, but just saying.
A little bit here. You're crushing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. So try that because one thing that it can show you how off you are
Yeah.
because it does your natural style and it does your adapted style.
Mm.
So the natural style is who you are naturally,
Yeah.
and the adapted is who you are when you think people are watching.
Mm.
Those should be close together. If they're not, you might want to reevaluate how you're living some aspects of your life.
Amen. I
Yeah.
100% agree. And the one thing that I live and die by is like who you see is what you get. You go
Yeah.
to my stories,
100%.
watch my content, it doesn't make a difference. I am absolutely no different. And the cutest thing is like when you like a quick story, this is kind of cute. So I have this MacBook Pro, right? And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
so I put it online to be sold. It's online for like $1,200 or whatever, no big deal. And this kid reaches out to me. He's like, "Will you trade me your scooter or for the laptop or whatever?" And then I was like, well, maybe and some cash, whatever. Like I'm down to help people out. And it was so cute because he was just like, yeah, like my girlfriend wants to go to college and she wants to, go for whatever. And I was seeing for a Christmas present, and I ride my scooter every day to like get to work and this and that. And so I reached back out to him. I was just true authentic self, and he's like, man, like thanks for being like reaching back out and not saying something nasty. I really appreciate it. And then of course I was like, hey, like how can you get to work? I don't want you to give me your scooter if you can't get to work, kid.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, hey, you're a true man for like looking out for your girlfriend and for her education moving forward and wanting to get that for her. I'm like, you almost just have it right at that point. Like I love when people want to serve others and support, and that's what it's about, showing up no matter what level you're at, and like answer that DM or, be authentic and kind. And because you have more doesn't mean you are more. It just means that you have more to be able to serve more. And if you're not giving back and giving and serving and supporting more, then what are you doing? Like there's an orphanage in Kenya and there's 75 kids that we're going to buy clothes and shoes for the holidays.
That's amazing.
So, it's doing that, which is like your legacy, right? And it's just, it feels so cool. A little segment on that.
No, I love that though. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll feel good.
Yeah. You just feel like, all right, cool. Like I'm doing something to have the world be a better place. So I'm curious on my side. We're in now almost 40 minutes, and we talked a little bit about why you got in real estate, a little bit on the broker side and property management side. And like, I want to talk about like kind of random, but your parents. Like, were your parents in real estate? Like, did they instill values and morals? Because like you were even doing the news anchor thing. Like, like did they instill like these values and morals and what have you? Because like you're this entrepreneur. Are they even entrepreneurs? Like, I'm curious.
So I grew up in very rural Eastern Kentucky.
Okay.
I am the daughter of a coal miner's daughter.
Really?
Yep. So my dad was a coal miner. My mom was a stay-at-home wife. She took a couple of college courses. She actually wanted to be a broadcast anchor, which I never put two and two together that I ended up doing that. But so I was the first one in my family to go to college and complete college. So definitely none of them have ever been in business or my mom did start a pizza shop for a little bit, but she really wanted to be home with us. So she sold that pretty quickly, about a year into it. So no, And that's what I've always been really curious. Are entrepreneurs born or made? And I think that it's a mixture. I think I've always had that in me. I
Mhm.
always wanted more. I needed more. And I needed to be able to give back to my parents. And they're the most kind, loving people because they had love to give me, not money to give me. And they
Mhm.
just supported me and smothered me. Like my mom always had a camera in my face. So I was always naturally comfortable with being on camera, talking to people. And I was
Moms.
always, yeah, I was always taught like my opinion mattered as much as an adult's. She probably could have taught me a little more respect, but that's made me very direct.
Yeah.
So I'm the boss of the family. Like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. Like, and I remember like we would go to the beach and she'd be like, oh, we're just going. Like, we would just go. They didn't even have like hotels planned. And I'd be like, this is so enraging to me. So like now I plan so it's like kind of like I shifted opposite. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
like very, one way compared
Yeah.
to like how I grew up and very small town, but I always kind of just wanted to be able to never need anything from anyone else. And I
Got
always wanted to give back to them. It's a hard life being in coal mining industry and coming
it.
from those small towns. And so, one of my dad's dreams, he'd always wanted a truck. He never had a truck somehow. He never had a truck. And he would always buy, my mom a decent car. And when I turned 16, I had the nicest car out of all of them.
Aw.
And that was crazy. I'm like, and he never, and I totaled it before he made the first payment on it.
Oh no.
And I was in trouble for like 6 months. And then he got me another new car. And they still didn't have a new car. And so, like, probably, I guess now 4 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, my dad, he was like, I'm going to do it. I'm finally going to get me a truck. So he was like, if you could help me find some. So, like, we were like going around looking and he found this one. He's like, well, I don't know. It's just a lot more than I think I could spend. And he kept looking at it. So, of
Yeah.
course, I go back and buy it that night.
Aw.
And the next day he goes, I'm like, dude, you cannot tell him that I bought this. Do not tell him. So he goes, and I wouldn't tell my mom because she's the worst. She tells everything. Don't ever tell my mom anything ever. So that night he cried over that truck. He was so upset that somebody bought that truck. And the next morning we come pulling up in it and like handing the keys. I'm like, this is what life's about, like
Wow.
that. So business sense, no, they taught me to be me, be who I am. And my dad was always such a hard worker.
Yeah.
He's retired now, so he kind of piddles around with us some and bought my mom her dream car like 2 years ago after she was in a car accident. So it's like that's kind of what fulfills me. Like I've had nice things, I have nice things. Like you're seeing my little Dior 30 days of Dior but it's
Extra
like
bougie over
I,
there.
yeah, but it doesn't really like I can get something and I feel really happy for like 2 seconds. But every time I see my mom in her vehicle or my dad in his truck or like their
Mm.
house, like whatever it is that I can do for them, I think is really important. But I think
Yeah.
I've always been this way. Like I always really wanted to help other people and help other people just live great lives. And that
Mhm.
puts a lot of stress on me, a lot on my shoulders. But I think that's also what just pushes me to keep going and growing.
Wow.
My big why.
Are they just like wow, like as far as like what you've accomplished and what you've
Oh yeah.
done, like can they even like, because I know my mom, like she was like, we're having a conversation and she can't even like conceptualize, like she was just like, why, like and it wasn't like why, like kind of like a like not like hating why,
Why
but
you? Yeah.
like why all this stuff and all the things. And I kind of explained, and then she was like, what's next, like after you do what
Yeah.
you do, and like my sites are on like 15,000 agents a month and like
I love
12 million
that.
a month and 144 million a year and $300 million exit. And I have this crazy stuff I want to do for
I
our
love
youth
that.
and kids and speaking and all the things. And so I kind of like gave her some enlightenment with that. But it's funny how like, cause I'm the first, just like you, like whether it's the house, the entrepreneurship, the job,
Yeah.
what I'm doing. And so it's great to be that lighthouse, if you will.
It
Right.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's yeah, kind of behind me, this little baby back there. I got the Rising Star from my university. I
Oh,
got that award like a couple months ago, and
mm,
I thought it was really awesome, and I love supporting my local community.
yeah.
But my parents, it was they just loved it. They ate it up, and she was like, "Who would have imagined, whenever you were in school that this would happen, or that." So I
Yeah.
think they're just so proud of me. And it's weird. Unfortunately, my husband has his mother has passed,
Oh,
And this has been a while now, but he said something to me that just hit me so hard. He was like, I love you so much, and you support me, and you're so kind, and he was like, but I just want to tell you, there's nothing in the world like the support of your mother. Like, no,
wow.
everything I did to her was I mean, it like makes me teary eyed.
Yeah.
Everything that I did to her was liquid gold. I did no wrong. He was like, and there's just something about when that person's gone. And I feel that with my parents. It's like, no matter if I'm like crying by my pool, like, Josie, my admin, moved to Louisville, what am I going to do? Or whether it's like, I just sold the biggest deal I've ever sold, or my team just grew, or my property management just grew. It's like the admiration of there's no, like you said, not
Mm,
by a judgmental why, but like there's no one that cares like them. And I think seeing you through their eyes is the best version of you. And I
mm,
think that's what's so powerful about it.
yeah.
And because we don't see ourselves as our best version, but through
Yeah.
their eyes, you can get little glimpses of that. Yeah.
And it's almost like when you have a coach or someone's
Yeah.
watching this episode and then I don't know, they reach out to you, or I always say, hey, reach out to us, send us a DM, whatever. Like, and then
Yeah, please.
and we get to shine light on them, and we get
Hmm.
to see them as their full potential, right? Or ask those questions of like, why not have that truck? Why
Why
not
not?
7 million this year? Why not have help 25 families? Like, why not?
You
You
can
don't
do it.
or this or that. So that's what I love
Yeah.
from the success perspective. And one thing that comes up for me, whether it's like, say, like I'm a car person, so cars or, nice watches, it's just a vessel to help. I feel like the youth, because they're so
Yeah.
intrigued by, oh, it's a Richard Mill. Oh, it's a supercar. It's this, it's whatever. Like, how did
Yeah.
you do it? And this and that and everything else. And you explain to them like, hey, like that's just an object. That's not, you might be happy for a moment. It's going to go away. And,
Yeah.
and so what does happiness truly mean to you? And to
Yeah.
help them get to that next level of like starting a family, traveling the world, giving back, freedom of schedule and time, and not working for the man, be the man or woman. Like that's where
Get
it's
out
like,
of the rat race.
yes, get out of the rat race. Like
Yeah.
be in control. It's just like, that's where I feel like the magic happens. And that's why we do this podcast, to just
Yeah.
person out there to be like, all right, I'm going to get into real estate, or all right, I got to hire a coach. All right, I got to get better with my systems and my processes and what I'm doing so I can have more
Yeah.
success in 2025.
They say in real estate investing, this was, love Bigger Pockets. They've got a great podcast. If you're looking to get into, investing, I think they're a great place to start. Obviously, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad's amazing, but it's
Yep.
not tactical, practical. It's mindset. It's
Yes.
literally mindset. And
Yes.
that's the number one, the analysis paralysis is the number one reason why people never get or stay in real estate investing, because they're too scared to pull the trigger. And I
Yes.
was so proud of my client. Like he told me 2 or 3 weeks ago, Andrea, I've been thinking about this, but familiarity breeds trust. He knows me, likes me, trusts me, and he knows I do it. I mean, there's nothing worse than, listen, if you're a real estate agent and you haven't bought your house yet, you need to save up and get a house. There's
Yes.
nothing worse than people not being able to trust you. We've got about 20 million under asset management right now. He trusts my property management. He
Right.
trusts me. I buy myself. He just straight up says, like, would you buy it? I'm like, if you don't buy it, I will. So
Oh,
you better take it.
that's awesome. But it's cool
Yeah.
that you have the ability
Yeah.
to, give that to that individual first. Hey,
Yeah.
like here's your shot, here's your chance. And if like so many individuals out there, if you relate to this, and if this is you, just something to take in consideration is the worthy factor. And if you don't
Yeah.
feel like you're worthy, you are worthy and you do deserve it and you can do more. And whoever's around you is saying otherwise, or even if it's a little guy upstairs, just
Yeah.
keep going,
Yeah, keep
and
going. We want to see you win. And I think
yes,
that, listen, with AI, with Chat GPT, you can take this free disc assessment that we're giving you, right? Plug in your disc personality, plug in your goals, ask
mhm,
Chat GPT to help you make an outline based on your disc assessment, and
mhm,
then help you set real estate related KPIs to reach X
mhm,
goals, and then use that as a basis to start, and then start planning your year, your month, your week, your day, or just start planning your week. Start planning
yes,
your day. Just plan tomorrow. Like jump in, get your feet wet, start your processes. Get out I do not do paper because this stuff, I love it, but it goes away. Like it gets lost. I had this one agent. I have this agent,
Yeah.
Hannah, and she's like throwing. I'm like every day. I'm like, watch her. Every day she comes in, she gets a new notepad. And I called her out the other day. I'm like, where are all the notepads? And she's like, what notepads? I'm like, you take a new notepad every day. Where are those notes going? She's like, Jesus Christ. Now that you think about it, where are all those notes?
Even
So I'm
intent.
like, so I'm like, we've got it. She's like, I looked all over my house, honey. I can't find those notes. So I'm a big, get out of Google Doc. Okay. We both love Google. Get out of Google Doc and start writing out who you are, how you are. Look at your disc assessment, write out your KPIs, make a
Mhm.
real roadmap that's based on you. Don't base it on Andrea or
Yep.
the master liftoff agents. Like base it
Yep.
off of you, your personality and your goals, how much time you
Yes.
want with your family, what you want to achieve. And then from there, just take it one step at a time. Build
Yes.
the mindset, get it crystal clear on your vision, and support yourself the way you would support your friend. Talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend, your
Love,
parents.
love that.
Yeah.
And take it to the next level. Like if it's life by design, I used to play GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
And
My husband loves that.
yeah, we used to play all the time. And my friend got a cheat code. He had more money, but in real life, I was doing more things that I was just like, I'm just going to focus on real life, not the video game anymore. And I'll pick it up again.
You're hating.
I know. And
Don't hate that he's better.
yeah, it's good. And so it's interesting because when you're thinking about taking it to the next level, what you just said is you want to work with who you are or who you are going to become. So if it's like you like golf, you like cars, whatever it is, you are your avatar. And so imagine being able to do what you would love to do, go to car shows, go to races, go to the golf course, go wherever it is, country club, whatever it is that you want to do, traveling. And then you can find those clients doing what you already love to do. And then you share it on stories and then it amplifies. Then you get a videographer and then it amplifies. And then you just scream on the mountaintops and then you start getting your email list going and you have your website and you have your social and then you could run ads later and get a team or whatever else. But like, it could just be fun. So many people make it so hard. Who you work with, everyone and anyone. Okay. Let's get focused here. Is it buyer? Is it seller? Why is that person going to buy? Why is that person looking to sell? How do you market to them? Because of their pain points. And start educating. 7 triggers to yes. If you give, then you'll be more likely to receive. And I love the book, Exactly What to Say, because there's 27 words that you can use in your pitch, your delivery, what have you, to get people to do anything that you want. People like to take it and make it so complicated. And with AI and technology and just like.
It doesn't have to be.
No.
Also, who wants to live a complicated life? Why do we make it so complicated? I tend to really dislike the word KPIs because people get so crazy. And for you to track that KPI that you just set for yourself as an extra 15 to 20 minutes a day, work, hours on the week, hours on the month to track, like track something tangible and start small. If you want to get fit, you don't need to start off by saying, I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week for 2 hours. You need to start going a day a week, 2 days a week, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. You're going to burn out. Stop acting. You don't go against the grain. Like be who you naturally are. If you're a morning person, be a morning person. Stop trying to be a night owl. You can't burn it from both ends. You're going to burn out.
Yes. I love that. I had a podcast guest yesterday and he's like, yeah, I did the 75 hard and I did it twice. And I'm just like, this isn't sustainable. He's like, I want to do something like 75 hard that I could make sustainable so I don't burn out. And then instead of doing 90-minute inside outside workouts and the gallon and everything else, I can do maybe, cut it in half and I can do an hour and I can do 30 and 30, or I could, do a half a gallon or whatever, but like modify it to a point where it makes more sense to you. And like, that's what I do. I track all my calories, my fitness pal. My wife's like had a conversation with me. She's like, Norm, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you don't look any different. I'm like, okay. She's like, you need to cut down calories and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And she's been on stage for bodybuilding, figure competition like 5 different times.
I love that.
Maybe one day I'll get on stage. I don't know. I don't want to put that much pressure on my body anymore. But yeah, it doesn't have to be any complicated more than it needs to be. And the guy yesterday on the show, he was very much KPI, very much, I worked 2,000 hours this year, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't really want to be that structured. I mean, I guess. It's like,
I like to have flexibility.
Yes, me too. Have flexibility, be able to, move a little bit. But of course, as you're running a tight ship, back-to-back scheduling happens. You're like, right.
Well, I have a health coach too, Chris DeVecchio. He's amazing. Phil Stringer. He's awesome. He does a lot of AI stuff. If you don't know him, check him out. Okay. He introduced me to Chris DeVecchio. He's amazing. And I have this super strict routine. But guess what? Last night, my husband's like, let's go to date night. I'm like, let's go to date night. We had a martini, we had some salmon and steak and an appetizer. And I woke up this morning and my arm didn't fall off. I didn't melt. I didn't, I had a great, nice, long conversation with my husband at one of our favorite restaurants. And instead of allowing myself to feel the pressure of, I'm on this plan, and Chris is very good about, you still have to, you're a lifestyle client. He was like, now, if you come to me and you say, I'm going to be on the stage, we've got a whole different set of goals. If your goal is to mentally have a lot of clarity for your stomach and gut health to feel good and to have clear skin, then we're on a totally different trajectory. I'm not allowed to debauchery as much as I used to, but it's fun. I love eating in, and I'm too busy really to go out that much anyway, but it's like, never do I want to be in a point where I'm putting so much stress on me that no, I need to go do this. And I had an offer on the table for like a $1.1 million deal. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I haven't heard a response back from the seller. I'm going to dinner. I'm going to get back to you after this. I put my phone on silent, put it in my bag, and enjoyed my time with my husband. At the end of the day, what is all the success without someone to share it with?
And I can imagine you turn your phone back on, off silent. Oh, contracts are signed. Cool. Fantastic. I think half the time when you do manifest, or you have the vision board, you write it down, you manifest whatever else. A lot of times, like you go on vacation and then it actualizes. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I just got that deal closed, or that duplex, or whatever. When you just let it go, sometimes it's cool to hold on to it and think about it. And I love how you have all the boards so you can see what's going on. Cause I feel like out of sight, out of mind, that it doesn't exist. You have to see it. And so once you see it, if anyone wants to buy a new car, that car keeps popping up all over the place because you're that closer to achieving it or receiving it, because your vibration and your focus point is on that thing. And so that's why KPIs are, I guess you could say, just track your goals, whatever metrics, write the board, look at your clients that you're going to have, or future clients.
Do a vision board. Do the photos of what you want. If you are going to sell. So one thing we do at the beginning of every year, we've got these really fun pictures. So it'll have my picture, and it'll have exactly my sales goal. And it'll be, a bunch of fun stuff around it about me. And we have those in the office, and we see those every team meeting. Every team meeting, we start out with positivity, and then what didn't work. And then we go over our financial goals. Where did agent A want to be? Where are they? Active, pending, sold. How far away are they? Are they tracking their goal quarterly, monthly, weekly? And this year had 2 agents that upped their goals at least twice by significant amounts. So and everybody's saying it's a bad market. Someone is going to have their best year yet. Why shouldn't it be you? It's your mindset. That's why.
Correct. Yep, exactly.
Or you've got great mindset and you're not willing to put the work in. It's one or the other.
Exactly. And then when you look at it from a collective consciousness, if you want to feed into the collective consciousness of negativity or the bad market, then you get what you basically focus on. So if you focus on hey, I'm going to keep moving forward, I'm going to do what I have to do, and just stay focused. Honestly, this year is going to be 1.2. And that was the first time in 12-month calendar year to be able to hit 1.2. And that's what? And this year's supposed to be one of the hardest years. And it's it just happened, And so it doesn't need to be hard. You don't need to put in extra time and effort and beat yourself up and look in the mirror and ask yourself, why is my eye crooked? Because I can't do videos, or I need the makeup, or whatever else. I love that. This has been a phenomenal podcast. And I know we're getting close to the end now, and be respectful for time and all the things. What would you like to leave as a golden nugget, or just something that a quote you have, something that's coming up? Just there's so much that we just unpacked. So, hey, if you didn't take notes, go back to the podcast, take some notes, watch this 2 or 3 different times. Because you get reading a book, right? You can always get something new. But Andrea, what do you want to leave for our viewers and listeners as we close out the show today?
If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter which way you go. I love that quote from Alice in Wonderland. Guys, get your vision straight, build a strong mindset, create a great support system around you. It doesn't have to be paid. Use and leverage AI to help create the plan. Those are your pillars. Know where you're going with clarity, get your vision, build a strong mindset around it. Your vision will slip, your mindset will fall, but if the plan is in place as well, you've got 3 pillars to help you have the best year ever. We're coming up on 2025, and you guys can do it. We believe in you.
Boom. Dang. Not even scripted. I could tell that was just you were in your flow state.
Like a trance. Yeah.
This is what we're doing. I mean, it went by so fast today. I mean,
it really did.
or like that. So if you found value, like, subscribe, notification bell. Appreciate you.
Hit
Thanks,
us up.
Yeah, hit us up. DM us personally. So
Yeah,
I would
let us know
love
how we can help.
everyone out there for you to take things from our show to apply to your business, have more massive success. Thanks for tuning in.